All right. Welcome to the Mount Lebanon Commission meeting, November 11th, 2025. How about we do the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Got it right this time. See that?
You did. Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioner Flynn.
Present.
Commissioner Siegler.
Here.
Commissioner Swager Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Grella.
Here.
Commissioner Silverman is not here this evening. Our solicitor, Phil Weiss, is also online.
Thank you. Let's do a summary of discussion session topics and announcements, and then head over to Vice President Jeff Siegler.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier tonight, Commission met in discussion session and received information, discussed the following items. We received information about AI, how the municipality is currently using and not using AI, our AI policy, and some associated safeguards. We'll continue to have those discussions as AI becomes more prevalent in all of our lives. We heard a presentation from Gateway Engineers regarding various municipal contracts and projects that are or will be put out to bid. Most of those are annual contracts. We received information responsive to questions and items that we've discussed over our last two budget workshops. We will have our final budget workshop tomorrow evening. And we did not have time for updates from the commission on the boards that they liaison to, but we'll get to those at the next commission meeting, which will be on Tuesday, November 25th. I should mention that prior to the discussion session, the commission also met in executive session to receive legal advice from the solicitor on a variety of topics. As I said, that next regular commission meeting is November 25th, 2025, and that meeting will begin at 8 p.m. in this room. Here are the ways the public can participate, either in person. You don't need to pre-register, simply show up at the appropriate meeting time. If you wish to speak during citizens' comments or during a public hearing, please sign the associated sign-up sheets at the back of the room. You can also participate remotely via the Zoom webinar format. Again, you don't need to pre-register, simply click the link located on the meeting agenda on the municipal website, and if you wish to speak during citizens' comments or during a public hearing, simply use the raised hand feature on Zoom and you will be notified when it is your turn to speak. That is all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is Veterans Day. We had a meaningful ceremony a few hours ago at our Veterans Memorial. Thank you to all who have served for your brave sacrifices and for protecting our freedoms. We are deep into the budget process for 2026. We have already had 2 budget review sessions. In addition to a public hearing on the budget later in this meeting, we will have another budget review session tomorrow in this building at 6 p.m. and again on Thursday evening if needed. We will conduct the final budget hearing on Tuesday, December 9th at 8 p.m. in this room, after which we will adopt the 2026 budget. Thank you for your engagement. Now that the clocks have changed and it's darker earlier, this is a reminder to make sure all drivers watch for pedestrians and cyclists, and a reminder for pedestrians and cyclists to make themselves visible with bright clothing and lighting while out and about. Let's work together to keep each other safe. Beverly Bright Night will be at 7 p.m. Thursday, December 4th. Meet Santa, see the tree lighting, shop, dine, participate in a food drive, and sing. On Saturday, December 6th, it's Washington Road's turn with the winter market and holiday celebration from noon to 5. Check out the 911 Chili Showdown Cook-Off competition among police, fire, and medical rescue team. Shop food and craft vendors, visit Uptown Shops, see Santa, hear music, and watch model train displays. Clearview Common will be our home for our Christmas tree, menorah, and kinara for all to enjoy. Finally, here are 2 ways you can help your neighbors right now. Sign up to be a snow angel for an elderly neighbor who will help shoveling their sidewalks this season. Forms are online at mountlebanon.org. Lastly, which you all would have seen on your walk-in, we have a little food pantry in the lobby collecting non-perishables and toiletries. Drop-offs and pickups are available Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. to anyone regardless of residency. On nights with a public meeting in this building, the pantry will be open later. Hours are also available on our website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Siegler. We will go to Junior Commissioner Paige Jocks.
Everybody, happy Tuesday. I feel like it's been a really short amount of time since the last meeting, just because, we had the 4-day weekend and it was Halloween and just all the things. But of course, today's Veterans Day, which I think at school, every single year, I remember since I was in first grade, we sort of honored veterans on this day by, in social studies classes, watching videos on them. More prominent in some classes than others, but definitely, I think in every social studies class, we have learned about veterans and their impacts on the country. And I think it's really important that we continue to do this every single year so we acknowledge how they have helped the country and their contributions. I know I had a request for updates on speech and,
Didn't even mention your dad.
Oh, my dad.
A 20-year retired Marine.
yeah, he's gonna be
Multiple
watching
tours.
this, so I didn't wanna shout him out, but my dad was in the Marines for 20 years, so, I guess he'll watch this eventually, so, yeah. But as per requested, some information about Model UN. So they went to Pitt about 2 weeks ago, and they were there for a tournament, and there was a lot of individual medals brought home for their place winners, and there was 2 champions. One of the champions actually being Mickey Murphy, who is the next junior commissioner. So, already promoting him there a little bit. But last night were auditions for the musical. If you don't know, this year's musical is Shrek, which I think that's really fun and different. I know in the past it's been a lot of princess, Disney movies, whatever, but Shrek that's pretty different. And everyone likes Shrek, come on. Okay, so some upcoming things. Winter sports start on Friday officially, and I think that is very exciting, and I'm not just saying that because I play winter sport. I'm a little biased, but all the athletes are very talented, so it will be a great season for everybody. And some more upcoming things. We have signups for this year's bocce tournament that has begun, and also Lebo's Got Talent, which is the school talent show. And I know in the past couple meetings, I've mentioned my work to help the parking situation at school in the parking lot. And as I mentioned the previous meeting, I had some conversations with some of the staff and the principals at school. And I'm pleased to say that they actually did take action, and they repainted some crosswalk lines and put up some little plastic yield to pedestrian signs. So I'm glad at least a little something has been done about that, and I could at least make a little impact on the school parking lot. Okay, thank you.
Good updates as always. Citizens' comments. I don't remember what we did last time. Let's go to online. Anyone online?
Nobody has their hand raised.
Thank you. Just let us know if they pop in and want to join.
Okay, I will do.
Thank you. All right, so I have probably the world's worst handwriting, but the handwriting on these forms is pretty bad. It's not as bad as mine, but it's close. So I'm not going to attempt to say last names, so I'm just going to do first names, and then when you come up, you do your intro and say where you live anyway with your name, so we'll get there. But we'll go with Jeff on Velin. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Jeff Fredericks. I live at 281 Velin Drive.
Thank you.
Just for reference, my backyard goes right into Clinton Seymour Field. So I'm here tonight to speak in opposition of the lights on Clinton Seymour Field. We have lived at 281 Velin Drive since 1996. We have always been in support of the athletics and sports. Both my children and grandchildren play sports. I think it's important to recognize that the fields in Mount Lebanon are in the center of a neighborhood. Unlike other communities where they're isolated or in parks. So there are many, many neighbors that are affected by the lights at that field complex. So we would prefer not to have lights on the last field. Since the turf and the lights have been added a few years ago, we have had significant issues with the tournaments and events. So we would like to see expanded athletics there, but we think the lights are a little bit intrusive. We've had a list of issues with tournaments. We've had property damage. The parking is a nightmare. I've actually had people back in and park in my backyard. We've had fence damage. We had a situation, as you recall, when it was really hot in August. We had a group of people tear all the lower branches off our trees so they could sit underneath the higher branches and get into the shade. We've had kids urinating in our yard. We've had a myriad of things. The activity and the confusion and the chaos has been significant over the last 12 months. Now, we have worked with a few of the Mount Lebanon representatives to try to relieve some of the issues. They've been very responsive and very helpful, but they can only do so much. We have had a lot of loudspeakers, sound systems. We've had music as early as 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. We had one group playing rap music with a significant amount of vulgar language. We had a lot of MF, a lot of the N-word. My wife and I stopped that, and that was actually an organized team that was doing that. So we would just want to express our concerns about adding more confusion and chaos into that environment, and we would appreciate any consideration. Thank you.
I know I see Amanda's name on here. We'll go to someone else before. Oh, actually, that might be for something else. But Amanda was on our sports board and one of the people who put together a report on field usage. And part of that was recommended to the commission was adding lights. We do not have enough fields in the municipality to serve all the programming of all of our recreation and our various clubs and even some of the sports teams at the schools. One of the recommendations put forth by the Sports and Recs Board, the Sports Board, now the Parks and Rec Board, was adding lights at some of our fields, which gets us extra hours playable on those fields. But we're certainly sensitive to the fact of nearby residents at all our parks. We had some conversations last year by Meadowcroft related to the pickleball that went in. Some of the noise from the pickleball rackets, some of the lights, some of the speakers. We put up additional signage about radios and playing music and loud music and things like that. And I know some signs went up Main Park too recently, right?
We did. We've added some additional
Yeah.
signage based on a conversation that several of us had with Mr. Frederick related to the incident that he was relaying. I think on Meadowcroft, we also shortened the timeframe for when the lights were on to, again, reduce some of those neighborhood impacts. So we always try to strike a balance between, I'll say, sort of the needs of our residents and the impacts that some of those uses may have to the closely abutting residents. Very accurate statement that the municipality is somewhat constrained in terms of from a land standpoint. We do not have the benefit of some of the other larger communities that have sort of been able to isolate their fields in one area, largely away from residential. Most of our fields are sort of intermixed with our neighborhoods. A lot of those fields belong to the schools, which have that same situation. So we are, again, always trying to strike a balance. And there will be a public process if this project moves forward in the sense that it needs to have approval first as a project in the budget. Then we would go out for a bond issue. Then we will put together bid specs to put it actually out to bid. It will go before the planning board, which for a planning board recommendation, and then ultimately come to the commission for a contract award. So there will be ample opportunities for additional public input as we move through the process.
And I think the commission has worked with residents near parks in other issues. Some of the issues that you brought up, those are inexcusable, damaging property and things like that. And I think that's elevated to a different level other than a policy that we would, I don't feel we need to put a policy together that says don't urinate on someone's property, but, maybe we do. But things like that, obviously, probably, police involvement. But I suspect the commission will continue to work with residents on making sure that, like Keith said, we strike a balance between the clear needs of the residents that have come forward and have said, we need more fields or we need more playing time. And then residents on the other side of the argument, which is, we want to enjoy our properties without light shining in our properties at 10 p.m., that kind of thing. So I appreciate the comment. Anything else? Anybody? No? Thank you, Keith. Colonel Hoon.
Bill Hoon, 456 Coolidge Avenue. Veterans Day today. I'm a veteran, spent 24 years in the Army. My dad spent 34. Went through World War II and the Korean War. The males in my family have been in uniform that we know of for the last 500 years. That's as far back as my niece has managed to dig up records on. Veterans Day does not mean parades and speeches to veterans. It's part of a continuation of days when we think about friends that are dead now. And they may have died old men back home, or they may have been killed in combat. Doesn't make any difference. There's another war coming up, and I know our president and our government is ignoring the entire thing. He doesn't know history. We're facing a man that is another Adolf Hitler. He wants to conquer Europe. He wants to kill all the Ukrainians. He's a monster. And unfortunately, his own people haven't killed him yet. So for us, Veterans Day is thinking about these people. My dad's buried in Arlington Cemetery. Had a very nice funeral, horses leading the case on and all that. But he was a senior officer, same rank as me. So he was entitled. That's what Veterans Day means to us, you know. None of you folks have ever been cold at night. And I'm not talking about just being a little chilled. I'm talking about shivering and not being able to stop. None of you have ever missed a meal. I'd be surprised if you had. That happens all the time. We freeze, we cook, but we do what we have to do. I went to Afghanistan, and I was surprised. Afghanistan's a desert country. I thought it'd be hot. Well, it was hot. During the day, it'd get up to 100 or a little better. And then it'd drop to 60 at night. And that was cold. And you get used to the heat, and then you freeze, and everybody's walking around with everything they can wear, and they shiver. Okay, enough about that. We have apparently, I got a phone call today. We've apparently purchased 80 ballistic helmets. I don't know what a ballistic helmet is. We wear helmets all the time in the military to slow down projectiles, bullets, shrapnel, you know. They won't stop things head on, but they will glance a bullet off. And this person that called me said, why do we need 80 ballistic helmets? I mean, are the secretaries now wearing helmets at work, or what's that all about? And that was the first time I'd heard anything about it, but I said, okay, I'll check and see if I can get some information for you. And I said, why don't you call your commissioner? They should know. Well, you know what? I know you, Bill, and I trust you. I don't know these guys, and there's been so much going on. I want the answer from you, not from somebody else. Okay, The other item is, I see we've got a food pantry out here. Well, that's terrific. Love seeing that. We've got food pantries at Pitt and CMU. And the people that use them are primarily graduate students because they don't have any money. I mean, a couple of rooms for food. Anybody can come in and take what they want, no questions asked. Any of you folks ever been to a food pantry? I mean, for poor people, not, you have? Mm-hmm. Good, I'm glad to hear that. It's kind of surprising, actually. But the folks that use those food pantries, we make a big deal about giving ground deer to the poor. Well, guess what? If you talk to these folks and ask them what they want the same food that all of us eat. They don't want your deer, squirrels, rabbits, or anything else. But, you know, we understand that you have to do that to a little bit of justification for killing innocent deer. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Dr. Hoon. Kyle.
I have some supporting materials if I could distribute those. Great. Would you mind, Judge? Oh, it's all sorted. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kyle Stott from 307 Oak Forest Drive. Tonight, because it's budget season, I'm here as a golfer, Mount Lebanon Hacker Golf League Commissioner, and parent of 2 Mount Lebanon High School varsity golf team members, one of which is here tonight with us. I'd like to take you on a short walk through our golf course. And if you take a look at the photos that were just distributed there, the Mount Lebanon Golf Course has been here since 1907, making it the oldest municipal golf course in Pennsylvania. It's a living part of our township's story, a place where seniors walk for health, students learn the game and maybe a few curse words, and families and community connect across generations. There's a lot to celebrate here. If you take a look at the next slide, the panoramic photos of the golf course are gorgeous. The course offers some of the most scenic views in Mount Lebanon, and there's golf programming, including junior golf, thank you Dick Snyder, adult leagues, and champion tournaments, thank you Colin Agster, and that represents an opportunity for us to grow as a community. Since hiring the superintendent a few years ago, the greens have markedly improved on the golf course. They're consistently smooth, healthy, and well-maintained. That's a huge improvement. That's a credit to Parks Management and the maintenance crew. And tonight, on Veterans Day, I also want to congratulate the Parks Department on the reported new hire of an assistant superintendent who's a military veteran. And that's encouraging news and a great hire aligned with our community values. We've fallen behind on a few points. If you look at the next photo of the broken fencing on 4, as you walk through the course with me on these photos, some challenges do stand out. The dead trees leaning on have become both safety hazards and aesthetic liabilities. These fencings along hole 4 is destroyed and is both an eyesore and a safety hazard. Commissioner Jeff Siegler and I agree that these aesthetic liabilities communicate volumes about our community, and they tell visitors and residents how we value our public spaces. Moving to the next tee, meet me there, and see how many tee boxes are uneven and compacted. Level tee boxes are not luxuries. They're core maintenance that should be addressed as normal part of park stewardship. The commission should advance the repair of existing tees in 2026 budget. And in the next photo, Lucy's looking lost, searching for her women's tee box. She never did find it, as there's a lack of forward tees for women's players. This creates uneven playing advantages, which Lucy would say is why I won our match that day. Humor aside, forward tees offer a way to build multi-generational community and even the playing field for golfers of all skill, physiques, women, seniors, disabled golfers. Conversely, the absence of forward tees limits access and inclusion. both things Mount Lebanon prides itself on. As we make the turn, let's turn to operational challenges. Our maintenance team does outstanding work with limited staff, but shortage of seasonal workers and below market wages make it hard to maintain fairways and greens surrounds consistently. A modest investment in staff and compensation would yield immediate results: smoother turf, consistent mowing, and better kept grounds. Moving to the budget priorities in 2026, I'm asking the commission to revise the submitted golf course budget to 1, tee construction and leveling as one budget item, combining those two in a capital improvement project as one to benefit all players. 2, fence repair and replacement. Address the deteriorating perimeter fencing as a safety and visual improvement project. On the operational side, tree removal and safety maintenance should be funded through Public Works or the general fund, consistent with how other parks are maintained. Seasonal labor and wage adjustments, strengthening the maintenance staffing using general fund support, or if necessary, targeted fee increases on carts and non-residents as I'll outline here in a minute. The golf park and the parks community and Commissioner Greg Grella agree that positioning the golf course and park system as a net neutral from a budget standpoint is a great goal. We agree with that. However, if the general fund cannot adequately support healthy operations, then modest targeted fee adjustments are the next best play for the course. Over an estimated 25,000 rounds of golf played annually, modest fee increases for cart riders and non-residents will close the gap. Cart fees of plus $2 to $4, non-resident storage charges of $2 or more, and pool carts increases for these convenience items and non-core to the golf could close the gap on the budget for the maintenance items. With these changes, even with these changes, Mount Lebanon will still remain one of the most affordable playing experiences in the community, in the surrounding area. I'm closing. Tonight, several members of the Mount Lebanon varsity golf team are here. They represent the next generation of Mount Lebanon golf, and they're asking for what we all want: safe, inclusive, and well-maintained course that reflects the values of this community. Thanks for your time and continued stewardship of one of the Mount Lebanon's most visible and valued public assets.
Thank you very much.
The picture doesn't look like you're anywhere near the course. I'm just
The
saying,
one where I'm standing on the fence?
you're way out of bounds.
No. I'm standing on the metal fence. I'm standing on
Hold
the,
on, I get you now. I see it.
I'm standing on the broken down fence.
That's wild. Thank you for this.
Yep.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Lucy.
Good evening, guys. My name is Lucy Stott. I live on 307 Oak Forest Drive.
I'm Gracie Harris. I live on 820 Osage Road.
I'm Alex LaRocca. I live on Lynn Haven Drive.
I'm a senior on the varsity girls golf team, and speaking for me was my father, who dragged me and the other out-of-place teenage girls here tonight. That being said, he has also dragged me to the golf course many, many times before. I've been golfing for as long as I can remember, and through the course of my journey, my home course has been Lebo Golf Course. Over the years, I watched the fairways turn from mud to lush grass, and the quality of the course has improved dramatically due to the efforts in the aforementioned. As a woman, however, the placement of my tee boxes is lacking. Specific curated tee boxes would drastically improve my game. Many of out-of-bounds shots and slice drives have resulted from the uneven, outgrown tee boxes due to unsure foot placement and many things that would not be visible to the naked eye or a rapid golfer being pushed by leagues behind them. These small adjustments would improve my game and make a difference between a win and a loss in my teammates' future matches. Thank you.
I'm a sophomore this year, and these changes would just really improve my next 2 years, just my game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also a sophomore, and this would just be really beneficial, especially for the varsity and JV team. But yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are a couple of the items that are that were put forth as part of the manager's budget. Tee boxes, right?
Tee boxes fall below the line in the manager's recommended budget. The fencing that was being referred to is actually identified in the capital improvement program as being a 2028 improvement. So that's where they currently fall in terms of from a budget standpoint.
I think one of us mentioned the boxes.
That was mentioned during the budget workshop last night as we were going through the CIP items as consideration. As we go through the final workshop tomorrow evening, the commission will make your decisions in terms of adds or amendments to the manager's recommended budget.
The fencing was 105.
Fencing is identified as 105,
And
correct?
does that cover all of the fencing that needs to be replaced or just?
The
specific
description
sections?
says replace the entire length of fencing along hole number 4.
Got it. Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so Lucy, Gracie, and Alex, we got your comment already. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, they're gone. Okay. Anybody else online? Did I miss anyone here? Is anyone else here want a public comment? You didn't have a chance? Come on up.
Hello, Commission. My name is Ross Himmler. I live at 921 Livingston Drive. I just want to make a note of the importance for I think it's the service line, it's not in the regular budget yet, for the painting and resurfacing of the Williamsburg tennis court and basketball court, and make that an importance beyond just for the locals near the park, but as I've mentioned in the recreation meeting, Mount Lebanon only has one actual public tennis court that's hard court, which is what all of the high school and all of the junior programs and all of the colleges play on hard courts. I'm a teacher down at Thomas Jefferson High School, and I coach both the girls teams and the boys teams, and I see teams and players from all over the other districts, and they talk about the Mount Lebanon High School courts are amazing, but outside of that, they lastly describe the Williamsburg Park as trash because it's, well, not actually properly maintained. So I just want to put an emphasis on all the players within the USTA and elsewhere so that we can play in Mount Lebanon and not end up going to Green Tree or Bethel Park or Peters or Upper St. Clair in order to play actual competitive tennis. A side note beyond if that gets into the budget with the dueling sides of pickleball versus the tennis players, with these 6 new pickleball courts at North Meadowcroft and now the 6 additional courts being added at the tennis center, when pickleball lines are put on a tennis court, it moots that court from actually being a legitimate tennis court where someone would play competitively, and it denotes it more along the lines of just go out and play with your grandparents. So if that gets into the budget, just to put an emphasis on, if you need to put pickleball lines somewhere, why not put them on a basketball court or somewhere else, because that doesn't ruin sort of the way a basketball court is being able to be played. So just thank you for having that in the line. Hopefully some emphasis gets put so it ends up being found in the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? Okay. Okay. Let's go to item number 4. Commissioner Flynn, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of the minutes for the adjourned meeting held October 28th, 2025. I move to approve said minutes.
All in favor?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have
Second.
a second? Yeah, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Commissioner Siegler, item number 5, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public hearing on the 2026 manager's recommended budget and the proposed tax rate for the year of 2026. The manager's 2026 recommended budget prepared pursuant to the Home Rule Charter was submitted to the Commission November 1st, 2025. Residents may inspect the budget during normal business hours at 710 Washington Road, that's this building, and at the library. The recommended budget is also available at Mount Lebanon's website at www.mountlebanon.org. Tonight, citizens have the opportunity to provide written and oral comments and suggestions regarding the budget and tax rate for 2026. The tax rate is proposed at 4.5 mils. The public will also have an opportunity on December 9th, 2025, to comment on the Commission's proposed adjustments to the manager's recommended budget.
Thank you very much. Let's conduct the public hearing on the 2026 manager's recommended budget and proposed tax rate for 2026. We have several people signed up for comments. Let's go to Sarada on Parkway. Is that right? Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sharda Sangameshwaran of 274 Parkway Drive, and I'm here as the president of the board of the Mount Lebanon Nature Conservancy, along with Angie Ferris, who is our treasurer, 124 Longview Drive. As you all know, Mount Lebanon Nature Conservancy is a nonprofit. We've been around for 41 years, and part of our mission is to improve our natural spaces through the planting of native vegetation. So our message tonight is actually a simple one. We wish to thank the commissioners, as well as Manager McGill and Director Supel, for earmarking $5,000 in 2025 for plants and supplies in our parks. This money was spent by DPW in collaboration with the Conservancy, and we want to thank you for including that line item in 2026, and we ask you to please keep it above the line as you consider the budget for this season. At this time, we would actually like to summarize how we used the money in 2025. All the money was actually put straight into the parks. So municipal funding was used to buy native plant seed, about $700 of that, and $2,000 worth of trees. So that was 80 native trees that went into our parks this year. This was part of a total of 230 trees that we installed in Bird Park and Twin Hills. Municipal funding also paid for the fencing and the stakes that help our trees basically stay alive and not be eaten by all the deer that we have in our neighborhoods. And Conservancy volunteers are actually installing these trees. So about 720 volunteer hours went in this year to get this work done in our parks. The current value of a volunteer hour in Pennsylvania is approximately $34. So that means that there was an in-kind donation of approximately $25,000 to get this planting installed. A bargain, if you ask me. But the value of the $5,000 was multiplied about 5 times because of that volunteer in-kind labor. So we're proud of this. I hope you are too. And we respectfully ask that you please maintain that funding for 2026 to help Mount Lebanon achieve our goals, which are listed in the comprehensive plan, the woodlands plan, and the parks master plan, namely expanding our tree canopy, building resilience in a changing climate, and creating a healthier park woodlands for all of our visitors to enjoy, or our residents to enjoy, excuse me. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. That stat about the volunteer hours is great. All right, Marcia Taylor.
I have to start out by, Marcia Taylor, 175 Crestview Manor Drive. I have to start out by saying, you heard from the youth in the golf, and now you get the other end of the spectrum. I'm here tonight speaking in support of level 18 of the capital improvement budget, making permanent the senior forward tees at the golf course. This level has a cost of $178,200. Though it's not noted in the budget level description, you need to be aware that forward tees are also ladies' tees, whether they are seniors or not. Women play for forward tees. I am a member of 2 ladies' leagues at the golf course. There is a third one that I'm not a member of. I've been past president of both leagues. I'm currently the handicap manager for both leagues and the treasurer for one of them. The Women's Golf Association of Mount Lebanon just celebrated its 65th year at the course. Has 45 members and meets Tuesday mornings. We play somewhere between 7:30 and 9:30. So we play in warm, we play in cold, but we play early. Fairway Swingers is in its 45th year and has 56 members. It plays Thursday morning. 26 members play in both leagues, so they're playing twice a week. And we have many, many members who play other times as well. I would note that while we don't ask ages of our members, I think I can say with certainty that most of us are also seniors. It's obviously very difficult to get younger people to come early in the morning. Many people are working, have kids to get off to school, etc. In 2024, temporary forward tees were put on 3 holes, numbers 4, 7, and 8. It was exciting to see them for the first time. It made 3 very difficult, geographically challenging holes far more playable and enjoyable. As an aside, I started playing on this course in 1974. As I have aged, number 4 in particular seems to get longer and longer and longer. But while the temporary tees enhance the playability of these holes, they do have issues. As has been mentioned, they slope. It's very difficult to hit a driver off a sloping tee box. They have higher grass than regular tee boxes because of their location. There are times when you go to put your tee in and you can't even tell how far you should put it in versus where your club is going to be because of the length of the grass. They even, from week to week, have moved. They're not in the same place. And some weeks you get the surprise of going out to play and they're not there. Having the temporary tees, though, has speeded up play dramatically. These are now holes in which many of our ladies, and I'm sure many of the other seniors, can actually drive a ball and get to a fairway. I know for these 3 holes, many, many times, people are looking for balls, not finding them. It's only a lost golf ball, of course, but it slows up play dramatically. Jason, the course superintendent, has worked very hard and done the best he can to provide the temporary tees, but it would be a significant course improvement to make them permanent. The Mount Lebanon Golf Course is a community asset. It has play from a wide range of golfers of all abilities. Making the forward tee boxes on these 3 holes permanent would enhance the golfing experience for seniors, ladies, juniors, and new players that we would like to attract. It would signal a desire to keep the course inclusive, welcoming, and playable to golfers of all ages and abilities. We have a number of ladies, and I'd like them to raise their hand here tonight, supporting this, and I think we may even have some on Zoom. So we would respectfully request that you consider funding this level from the putting it above the line in the capital improvement budget. Thank you.
Sally. Sally Wade?
Good evening, Commissioners, and I'd also like to say good evening to Ann Swagger Wilson as well, who's on Zoom, I believe. Hi, Ann. I'm Sally Wade. I'm at 3365 Cochise Drive in Upper St. Clair. I apologize for that, but I have deep ties to Mount Lebanon. My family was here. I'm class of Mount Lebanon 1971. As Marcia said, there are some of us old folks in this golf league. And my parents currently reside at Mount Lebanon Cemetery Mausoleum, where my husband Dave and I will eventually reside as well, but hopefully not too soon. I am here as a representative of the Women's Golf Association in the Mount Lebanon and also Fairway Swingers. I'm the past president of WGANL and was secretary for Fairway Swingers for 2 years and a current golfer. I started golfing seriously when I retired several years ago and joined the leagues at that time in Mount Lebanon. Prior to that, my husband and I have golfed all over, pretty much all over western Pennsylvania and elsewhere. As Marcia has said, and you have heard tonight, I also encourage the Mount Lebanon Commissioners to include the appropriate monies in the budget above the line for the improvements for the forward tees. They are very, very important. As you have heard, and I'm sure you understand and know more than anybody, your asset, Mount Lebanon Golf Course, is a huge economic asset to you. Improving these tees will allow more folks to come in, not just in Mount Lebanon, but elsewhere across the region. Upper St. Clair does not have, it has a little 3-hole golf course, which we use on occasion. It does not have an asset like Mount Lebanon's golf course, and you should be very proud of it. I think continuing improvements will continue to bring more golfers in, which will, of course, continue to be an economic advantage for Mount Lebanon itself. So on behalf of all of the golfers and myself, I encourage you please to consider moving that above the line and including it for this year. Thank you very much.
Amanda.
Amanda Ross, 933 Osage Road. I'm here to speak primarily about 3 line items, the cedar turf replacement, lighting Seymour and Middle Fields, and the parking improvement project to the side of that field. I'm here wearing many hats. I'm a 20-plus year resident of Mount Lebanon. I have 4 kids, 11 through 19, who have played or play pretty much every sport you could possibly play in Mount Lebanon. I have helped run the Flag Football League for the last 8 years. I'm a 4-year board member of the Lacrosse Association and do their scheduling. And I'm also was on the Sports Advisory Board and now the Parks and Recreation Board for I don't know how many years, 6 years, 7 years, I've lost track. And I'm currently the chair of that board. So I'm here to speak a little bit, just to remind you, I think you've all seen the field census study that we did back in 2022, 2023. Just wanted to throw out some numbers there to kind of back up the importance of doing those 3 projects. In 2022, there were 5,521 participants in sports programs in just the fall and the spring in Mount Lebanon. That's projected with a 2.7% growth rate. In 2027, there'll be over 6,000 kids participating in sports. What's important about the cedar turf field is that every single use organization uses that field. So soccer, field hockey, tackle football, flag football, lacrosse, softball, both in the fall and the spring, baseball. Everybody uses that field. So if you're a kid in Mount Lebanon, other than I think preschool and kindergarten and soccer that the municipality runs, you're using that field at some point during the week or during your season. So it really is an overutilized field. We also know from the study that across all the fields in Mount Lebanon, including the school district's fields, everybody is at an over 80% utility rate. So there is a field shortage. We've proven that through our study. So the idea of maintaining this field is vital. The other statistic I wanted to talk about was what happens when you install lights on the field. So just again, looking at a fall season and just the weekdays, not counting weekends, adding lights to any field gives you an extra 165 hours of usage on a weekday. That's a 64% increase. In the spring season, because of the sun coming and going at different times, the number's a little bit less, but it's 150 hours per week, weekday hours, which is a 45% increase. So that's just lighting one field. So what that means for Middle and Seymour, for people who may or may not understand, is currently it's a large field. So if you're playing, let's say, soccer, half the field is lit. So the middle side of the field, closest to Dixon Field, is lit currently. The other half is dark when it's dark. So if you're having like 4 tackle football teams practice there, it's fine. You can practice under half the field, the lights. If you want to have a soccer game or a lacrosse game at night, you can't do it. So for lacrosse in the spring, we're able to get a game in from 6 to 7:30, but at 7:30 we have to switch to a practice because only half the field is lit. If the other half of the field was lit, we could have a whole nother game, possibly another game after that, depending on the time. So it really opens up people's scheduling, and that's true for, again, every sport. For baseball and softball, instead of just having a game at Middle at night, they could have a game at Middle and one at Seymour simultaneously. So it doubles their capacity on the weeknight that they're given that field. So it would make a huge impact. We have the data to back that up if we were to light both sides of the field. The parking also is, I didn't even know that was in there because that doesn't really fall under Parks and Rec necessarily. That's amazing. That parking lot obviously needs done. I think it would also relieve some of the problems that the gentleman earlier mentioned. If there was a defined parking area and if you had fencing as part of that, all those properties behind that would not be disturbed. Also, I want to point out that the technology of the lights has improved dramatically. It's been about 8 years, I believe, since the lights were first installed. And I think the proposal is to replace the lights that are currently there as well as add new lights. So they'll all be the latest technology, which is going to decrease the amount of, I forget what the word is, the lighting that other people are going to be impacted by. It's going to be more directed at the field. So that's another thing to consider for people in the neighborhood who are not wanting to have lights. It's going to be even better than the lights that are currently there. So I think that's what should be less of a concern. Also, if you want to keep up with the Joneses, if you don't know already, Upper St. Clair just opened a brand new field with 2 full-size football fields and 2 full-size baseball fields, all turfed, all lit, all plenty of full parking. We don't have that ability with the space we have, so we need to make the most of what we have. And to do that, we would need to improve these 3 projects. Finally, just as the Sports Advisory Board and now Parks and Recreation Board, every year we do a proposed list of projects and we rate those projects. Hopefully this is not a shock to you that we want to do this. It has been our #1 priority for probably the last 5 years. knowing that the turf was eventually going to wear out and need to be replaced. I'd also like to say it's about three years past its warranty date, so we've made very good use of this asset, and will continue to do so for another, hopefully, 8 years after we replace the turf. I'm happy to answer any questions you have at any time. You guys can find my contact information about any of the projects. Golf tees also were number 3 on our priority list this year. Just let me point that out when the golfers are here. So the turf was 1, the golf was 3. Thank you.
I think the Parks and Rec Board has done a great job of bringing that information to the commission, and the report that was done was amazing, and clearly laid out the need for additional fields. I know we've got space at McNeely Field that we've discussed, and we've had plans in the past, and I think those need to be revisited for additional field space, which would certainly help. Thank you for the comments. Beth, Kate, she's in there.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Beth McCabe. I live at 104 Shady Drive West. I'm here tonight in regards to the 2026 manager's budget to advocate for adequate funding for pedestrian safety initiatives. As you're aware, the 2024 comprehensive plan identified the improvement and expansion of sidewalks and safe crossings as the #1 priority for resiliency. In the overall plan, the second most critical thing residents want to see addressed in the next 10 years is safer streets for pedestrians and cyclists. Given these results, it is surprising that the sidewalk improvement program falls below the line, a loss of $347,000 for pedestrian safety. I recognize that the active transportation plan is in progress, so there's a temptation to not take action until the plan is complete. However, we cannot and should not believe that the active transportation plan is going to solve all of our traffic and pedestrian safety concerns. There are things that can be done now that will not conflict with the results of the active transportation plan. It's not a good look, nor does it feel great as a resident to see budget cuts in areas that we're the most concerned about. I sit on the mobility board, and almost every month we have multiple residents come asking for something to be done to make their streets safer. There are simple, effective things that the city of Pittsburgh is doing to make it safer for pedestrians. They face the same weather and topography challenges as we do. Oakland, Squirrel Hill, Friendship, just to name a few. Flex posts and paint. A fraction of the cost, but a world of difference. Not a permanent solution, but a step in the right direction. It's more pleasant as a driver and much safer as a pedestrian. And visiting these places, it's obvious that the residents' safety is prioritized and not the transient traffic. But you don't even have to go as far as the city to see such improvements. Recently, I was driving through Upper St. Clair and was amazed to see the amount of newly installed high-vis crosswalks and blinking pedestrian crossing signs. Upper St. Clair is not a walking district, nor do they have a central business district, but they do have a forward-thinking mindset that puts value in the safety of their residents and works to ensure that they can get around their community safely. We are losing our competitive advantage because we are not doing more to address the concerns regarding pedestrian safety in our walkable community. I would like to request that the 2026 manager's budget fund initiatives that residents have identified as key areas of concern. Let's move the sidewalk improvement program above the line and designate adequate funding to support pedestrian safety initiatives. Thank you.
Multiple commissioners requested that that be moved up. It'll be one of the items that we consider at the final budget session.
Beth, I know you don't attend the budget workshops. They're not necessarily must-see TV. But I indicated, as I did last year, the sidewalk expansion was not above the line in the manager's recommended budget for the Woodland sidewalks that were installed, and neither is the next phase, which would be the Greenhurst section of sidewalk installation. The reason that I don't put those in my recommended budget is because they're a significant outlay of funds, $500 and some thousand for Woodland, $347,000 for this next section. I do not have the ability in my position to use unassigned fund balance to balance the budget. So if I use a large portion of those funds, then there are other, what I will say, essential services that I'm not able to fund. Commission, they know the priorities. Last year, they moved Woodland above the line. I would fully expect that this year they will do the same thing because they do have the ability to use unassigned funds. So just so you understand a little bit of the philosophy of how I budget or how I recommend.
Thank you for the clarification, and I just want to keep advocating for pedestrian safety. So whether it's sidewalks, traffic calming, flex codes.
And we do have a carryover amount of, I believe, a little under $30,000 for some pedestrian improvements as we continue through the active transportation plan. And then I'm sure that there will be a whole list of items that come out of that study that will require associated funding. So.
Thank you for advocating, and I hope you continue to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sean?
Good evening. Sean Battis, 448 Jason Avenue. Two items on the proposed budget for 2026. First, the proposed budget contains recommendations for the purchase of at least 2 run-of-the-mill vehicles, one for the Recreation Department and one for Fire Department admin use. The Commission passed Resolution R1022 promoting resilience and sustainability in April 2022, which endeavored to improve fleet fuel efficiency. This is an opportunity to start this process 4 years later, 4 years on by investing in electrification. Understandably, this would involve additional infrastructure, but I believe the Recreation Center parking lot is ripe for EV charging, which could also have offsetting revenue if desired. Additional charging stations at the Public Safety Building are also a must to be able to push forward on electrification of the fleet. It will be some time before we can electrify our larger vehicles and even our in-service police vehicles, but we need to start this process where we can, and these are great opportunities to do so. Secondly, while the proposed budget calls out parks and recreation facilities as the highest priority in the Ascend Lebo survey, safe streets for pedestrians and cyclists was second, and I believe had the most map pin drops. The survey also showed that 84% of respondents rated closing the gaps in the sidewalk network in the next 10 years extremely or moderately important. 44% extremely, 40% moderately. Knowing the active transportation plan is still in development, I can understand that large-scale projects are not yet shovel-ready, but I hope initial projects that come out of the plan won't need to wait for the next year's budget for funding. Additionally, 8 to 10 sidewalk connections have been identified by Commission for construction last year. This is a good start, but there are many more that haven't been identified, and we are currently on pace to complete 1 sidewalk per year. That's not going to get the job done. I was heartened to hear multiple commissioners last night indicate that they would like to fund the sidewalk improvement plan, and again, after Beth's statement. But I am disappointed also that the traffic calming recommendation is below the service level and recommended at only $30,000. I want to ensure that we're devoting appropriate monetary resources for headcount and training so that design guidelines passed in the Complete Streets program and coming in the active transportation policy can start to be used. I was serving on the traffic board when residents of Scrubgrass brought their traffic calming petition in September of 2023. 2 years later, the project is not complete. I believe we can do better, and we can do it much more quickly if we truly make the effort. Mount Lebanon's walkability is one of its most cited assets, and we need to ensure that we're making reality match its image. Thank you.
Tom?
Good evening, Tom Sufchuk, 519 Lyndhurst Avenue, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the commissioners and the manager and the citizenry that are here. I want to talk briefly about commissioners considering a request to move service level line number 202, which is for invasive species management, which is $35,000, and number 206, which is passive park trail upgrades, as described in the proposed budget. Have those moved above the line and have them considered to be capital expenditures and perhaps funded through the forthcoming or proposed 2026 bond issuance. I'll talk briefly about each of those projects. The invasive species management project is in the budget for $35,000 for 2026. That is an initial implementation of the 2024 Forest Management and Invasives Control Plan prepared by Oikos Ecology at the request of the commissioners. And the Oikos report presented a comprehensive, multi-phased program for restoring the health and the sustainability of our passive use park forests. Manager's budget lists this as a capital expenditure, which makes sense, and that $35,000 would be a good start for 2026. The report actually carried out funding estimates or cost estimates through 2027, 2028, which altogether with 2026 would total about $459,000. Obviously, that can't happen all this year, but if it were considered a capital investment to be funded through the bond coming up, then that could be perhaps viable. The other project I want to talk about is the passive park trail upgrades. It's in the budget is a $150,000 budget line item in the manager's proposed budget as a public parks maintenance operating expense. It is arguably could be considered a capital expenditure because the money would go towards the purchase of an articulated tractor and some attachments that would greatly enhance the ability to maintain trails and do other work within the passive use parks, and could also be shared with the golf course and parks all over the municipality. And quite frankly, the ability to maintain the trails and upgrade the trails to a sustainable level is beyond the abilities of the Nature Conservancy and the many citizens who come out and help volunteer with trail work, in our 3 passive use parks. We need to start getting them up to snuff. So this equipment would be a very useful addition to the facilities available to the Public Works Department. As described in the budget proposal, it could be construed to sound like it's a study or an evaluation of ways to go about upgrading the trails. What we're actually looking at in that line item is the equipment plus contractor work to bring several trail segments in Bird Park and in Twin Hills Park up to Pennsylvania DCNR design standards, which then should enable us to focus on maintenance rather than construction, by volunteers. That will also increase or enhance the ability to interconnect the trail system with the streets and the sidewalks under the forthcoming active transportation plan. And we are also looking and hoping to get some ADA compliant or at least somewhat accessible trails for citizens, in one or more of the parks. Budget impacts, I'm out of time. On the back of the handout, and this is also I emailed to you, is a spreadsheet that shows the budget impacts very briefly. If these projects were funded through a bond issuance, assuming a 10-year bond at 5% interest, we'd be looking at about $25,000 to $55,000 to $60,000 incremental debt service payments So if those are lumped in, the line items that have been approved or are above the line for that bond add up to about 6.9 million with an annual debt service about 925. So the increment is not insignificant, I realize, but it's, you know, in relationship to the overall package seems to be manageable. Thank you.
That's it on the list for the public hearing for manager's recommended budget. Anybody online?
Nobody has their hand raised.
Anybody else in the room who wants to comment before we close the public hearing? All right, we'll close the public hearing for 2026 manager's recommended budget and proposed tax rate. Thank you very much for comment. And we'll move over to item number 6. Commissioner Swager Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the public hearing on Bill number 4-25, amending the 2025 budget for revenue and expenditures not anticipated in the 2025 budget. You can see on the screen to the commission's right and to the public's left those items that are proposed. Both sides balance. The revenue balances to the expenditure for an amount of $625,080.
Thank you, Commissioner Swager Wilson. We will now conduct the public hearing for Bill number 4-25, amending the 2025 budget for revenue and expenditures not anticipated in the 2025 budget. We do not have anyone on the list here in the room. Do we have anyone online for the public hearing? Hearing none. Anyone in the room who did not get to sign the sheet? All right. Any comments here for the commission? Close that public hearing. Thank you very much, Commissioner Swager Wilson. Item number 7, Commissioner Flynn, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introduction of ordinance bill number 5-25 concerning the municipality's 2026 budget. The commission held a scheduled budget work session to review the budget on Thursday, November 6th. Additional budget work sessions will be held on Monday, November 10th, Wednesday, November 12th, and if needed, on Thursday, November 13th. A public hearing was just held to comment on the manager's 2026 recommended budget. A second public hearing is scheduled for December 9th regarding any commission revisions to the manager's recommended budget. The 2026 budget ordinance is scheduled for consideration at the December 9th, 2025 meeting. Mr. President, I would like to introduce ordinance bill number 5-25.
Thank you, Commissioner Flynn. We'll set the public hearing for December 9, 2025. The only other comment that I'll make, we do have a date for Thursday. It is unlikely we will have that, so likelihood is that the last budget public meeting will be, workshop, thank you, will be tomorrow.
Correct.
So those who, yes. We were able to make some good progress in the last couple of days. It is likely we'll just have one more workshop, so Wednesday.
Correct, and those workshops are available online for anybody that could not or did not attend, if you'd like to watch those back.
And for what it's worth, the comment from the public is actually very helpful. So if you do have comments and did not have an opportunity to speak here, which is the last meeting before we hold the last workshop, please send them in by email or to the manager so that we can see them. Thank you. Commissioner Siegler, item number 8, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introduction of ordinance, bill number 6-25, fixing the tax rate for the year 2026. The municipality will be fixing its tax rate in accordance with the adopted budget. The tax rate for general purposes is currently 4.50 mils. The tax shall be fixed at the rate of 4.50 mils for the year 2026 and continue in force for each successive calendar year without annual reenactment unless the tax is subsequently changed. I would like to introduce ordinance, bill number 6-25.
Thank you, Commissioner Siegler. We will set the public hearing for November 25, 2025. Just one quick comment here, obviously for purposes of the ordinance, we have to name the number in the mills. That is no change for this year. So no change to our tax rate proposed for 2026. Commissioner Swager Wilson, item number 9, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is consideration for adoption of the concurring resolution number R-11-25 CDBG grant application for ADA sidewalk ramp upgrades. An application is being prepared for submission to Allegheny County Economic Development, ACED, for the 2026 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG project through the South Hills Area Council of Governments, SHACOG. A full application with concurring resolution must be submitted by December 1st, 2025. The project will include the installation of handicapped curb ramps at various intersections within the municipality. The municipal engineer has reviewed the document and recommends adoption of the resolution and transmitting it to SHACOG for submission to ACED. I move to adopt the concurring resolution number R-11-25 for the 2026 CDBG grant application for the ADA sidewalk ramp upgrade project.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
I have a comment. I just want to say that what's important to remember with this is that in the disability community, many disabled say often, it's not that I have a disability that keeps me from getting somewhere, it's the way the environment is designed. So improving accessibility for people, whether they're older and walking more slowly or in wheelchairs, is really incumbent upon us as a municipality and reflects well on how we treat our public.
I was just going to make a comment, Ann, that you have been a very strong advocate for a lot of ADA improvements that we've done over the years, which I really appreciate. So thank you for that. And also our staff has done an amazing job, which I mentioned before, seeking a lot of grant money. We've received millions of dollars in grant money over the last few years for a lot of the projects that are included here and other projects that we work on. So I think our staff has done an amazing job there as well. Appreciate it.
Agreed.
Go ahead.
She agreed.
Oh, good, thank you. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Swager Wilson. Commissioner Flynn, item number 10, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of an agreement by and between the Municipality of Mount Lebanon and the United Police Society of Mount Lebanon. The United Police Society of Mount Lebanon is the union representing the Mount Lebanon police officers. The current labor contract with this group expires on December 31st, 2025. The new agreement is for a 4-year period, January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2029, and provides for wage increases, changes in compensation, healthcare contributions, and clarification of certain benefits. Mr. President, I am pleased to move to approve the collective bargaining agreement by and between the Municipality of Mount Lebanon and the United Police Society of Mount Lebanon, and authorize the proper municipal officials to execute the agreement subject to the approval of the municipal manager and Labor Council.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Thank you for everybody's hard work on that. I know it's always difficult work to get those things done, but do appreciate everybody's negotiating and working hard in good faith to move that forward. Very important.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Commissioner Siegler, item number 11, please.
Thank you, President Gorelick. Consideration of sidewalk expansion policy revisions. In August 2023, the commission adopted a sidewalk expansion policy. Following the transition of an advisory board in 2024 and the commission direction related to the sidewalk expansion project in 2025, minor updates to the policy are needed to ensure alignment with the commission's direction. Revisions to the policy include removal of obsolete language related to the traffic board and clarification of the resident cost-sharing formula. Mr. President, I move to adopt the revised sidewalk expansion policy.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Is the text available?
It will be posted. We'll post it online. Yes, sir.
Okay. Great. If you have any questions on where to find it, just email one of us. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.